Hello and welcome to the beautiful Greek island of Kefalonia, or in Greek Kefalonia. In this video, Susan and I are catching a ferry from Agostoli to explore and photograph Kefalonia's second biggest town, Lixouri. Then we'll take a drive to a site that is unique in Greece, this spectacular underground lake. Good morning. Welcome aboard the ferry going from Agostoli to Lixouri on the other side of the channel. So we're not going to a different island, we're just going to explore Lixouri, which is a working town. It's not really a tourist town, but it might make for some interesting walks. Travelling by ferry is part of the Greek island vacation experience, but we hadn't planned any for this trip. So for me, this little ferry ride was a bonus. Okay, so I had an interesting morning. This morning I went out before breakfast and I went to photograph a really interesting tyre dealership, which has probably one of the most beautiful locations for a tyre dealership I've ever seen. And I took a couple of photos and this very cranky man came out and was not impressed with me taking photos, and I went over to try and placate things, and next thing he disappears and comes back with an iron bar. So I thought, I'm not welcome here, so I moved on. So I moved on a little bit further up the wharf, and a more pleasant man came out and saw me, whose grasp of Greek was not that great, and he was working at a fish wholesaler. And I showed him one of the photos that I took, and he was, thought it was okay. And I went on my merry way. Then he called me back, and I had no idea what he wanted to do. And he goes back into the processing place and gets a tray full of fish innards, and then starts banging the dock with some styrene foam, and after a few minutes a turtle appears and he starts feeding the turtle. And I'm taking photos of him, I'm taking photos of the turtle. I'm thinking, well, I'm not really a wildlife photographer, but hey, why not go with the flow? On days like this, I envy the locals who use this ferry to commute between the two towns. Although in bad weather, the ferry is cancelled, so they have to drive 30 kilometres or 19 miles instead. This is the main square that welcomes us to Lixouri. It is a beautiful public space, a perfect stop for a snack or coffee later on. Walking around, it didn't take long to realise that Lixouri is more your authentic working town. It definitely doesn't feel like a tourist hub like Agostoli, and that's fine with me. However, back in the 19th century, Lixouri was very much an international travel destination, drawing many visitors including celebrities like composer Richard Strauss. I've met people that like to explore a new place without lifting up a phone or a camera, so that they can be in the moment. And I get this. I do see the attraction of this approach. But for me, this morning will be an opportunity to do some street photography. I find that the camera focuses my attention on my surroundings. For me, framing a place through the lens adds to the experience of being there. As with many other towns in Kefalonia, Lixouri was almost completely demolished by the 1953 earthquake here. So nearly everything you see has been reconstructed since then.
These small shrines are sometimes built in memory of traffic victims, but sometimes they're placed to provide passers-by with a moment of quiet reflection. Back in the town square, we followed the locals to find a cafe that's been in business for more than 100 years. It served the best coffee we've had so far in Greece. So today we have a car, which means we can explore beyond the limits of the main town. And we're going east to Sami on the east coast. Our first stop today is the unique Melissani Lake, which first opened to the public in 1963. You can only see Melissani Lake on a boat tour, which takes about 15 minutes. This tunnel was dug to allow visitors access to the lake. And no waiting time at this time of the year. We walked straight onto the boat. The source of this water is near Agostoli, where we started our drive this morning. However, the seawater travels underground for 14 days to reach this lake. To get these incredible colours, the sunlight has to be high enough to shine into this opening, so the middle of the day is the best time to visit. As far as taking photographs here, I found two major challenges. One is the very large range in contrast from the deep shadows in the cave to the very bright areas hit by direct sunlight. So I shoot in RAW and underexpose a bit, then reduce the brightness in the highlights and lighten up the shadows in post as needed. The other challenge common with any tour, whether you're on a vehicle or a boat, is that you don't pick the viewpoint for your photos. You just grab whatever you can as the tour progresses. And for me, the third challenge was to get all the photos I wanted, as well as all the footage to make this video, as well as immersing myself in the experience during this 15-minute boat ride. Sometimes there is something to be said for putting down your phone or camera and just taking it all in.
During the summer, natural air conditioning, the air temperature 20 degrees.
For a few euros extra, it's worth getting a ticket that includes access to the nearby Drogherati cave. What better way to finish our visit to the east side of Kefalonia than with a waterfront meal in the nearby port town of Sami. This is the third and final video from this trip to Kefalonia. After more than 30 years of travelling to Greece, my regret is that it's taken me this long to discover this island. In shoulder season, Kefalonia has everything you would expect from a Greek island without crowds. With its own international airport and located between Greece and Italy, I envy those of you in Europe for whom Kefalonia is just a relatively short direct flight away. Thank you for coming along with me. If you liked the video or found it informative, please give it a thumbs up so that more people have an opportunity to see it. If stories about travel and photography are your thing, consider subscribing for more videos like this. See you in the next one.
Water always running, always flowing.